Welcome back to my channel. I hope you all are doing well. I couldn't have made this video at a better time. It's about 5 top Halloween comedies that I think you should watch during the Halloween season. Lately, I have been in a little bit of a funk. I've had a low-grade anxiety. I think it has to do with what's going on in the United States right now and honestly other parts of the world. And it did help. The next video is going to be about prep and packing for a camping trip. And always, anytime I get out in nature, it helps my mood so much. And then we are headed back out to the lovely state of New Mexico for housework. And I will definitely go on some hikes there. And I want you to come along. So let's just get into this video. And I hope if you are in a funk that these films will help you as much as they have helped me. These are the top 5 Halloween comedies that I think you should watch. At number 5, The Addams Family, starring Angelica Houston, Raul Julia, Christopher Lloyd, Christina Ricci, and Jimmy Workman. It was directed by Barry Sonnenfeld and released in 1991. Many people today probably don't know that The Addams Family is based on a cartoon series in periodicals created by popular illustrator Charles Addams in the 1940s. In the film, Raul Julia and Angelica Houston play Gomez and Morticia. The persona of Gomez Addams was created by actor John Astin for the mid-1960s TV show. Cartoonist Charles Addams even let Astin choose the father's character's name. The previously had none. John Astin is the adopted father of Sean Astin, who played Samwise Gamgee in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, my favorite character in all of literature. Morticia in the old TV series was played by Carolyn Jones, who also starred in the original 1956 Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
I would die for her. I would kill for her. Either way, what bliss.
Interestingly, both Tim Burton and Terry Gilliam had to turn down offers to direct this film due to schedule conflicts. So, cinematographer Barry Sonnenfeld directed, and this was his first film as a director. This is a very fun Halloween movie with great characterization and has an extremely interesting plot, but make sure to pay close attention to the details, especially at the end. At number 4, Hocus Pocus, starring Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, Kathy Najimy, Omri Katz, Thora Birch, and Vanessa Shaw, directed by Kenny Ortega, and it was released in 1993. Originally a box office failure, Hocus Pocus has become a cult classic and recently inspired a sequel with a 3rd film currently in work. Bette Midler is especially funny in this supernatural romp. Doug Jones, who plays the zombie Billy, went on to play Abe Sapien in Hellboy and the Fawn in Pan's Labyrinth. The movie features flashback scenes filmed on location in Salem, Massachusetts, in a recreation of the colonial-era town, as well as other historic locations in present-day Salem. Darker than your typical Disney film, this works both as a black comedy and a scary Halloween thriller as the witches chase a group of kids around town. I think this one is a lot of fun to watch, and I am excited to see the sequels. At number 3, Ghostbusters, starring Dan Aykroyd, Sigourney Weaver, Harold Ramis, Rick Moranis, Ernie Hudson, Annie Potts, and Bill Murray. It was directed by Ivan Reitman and released in 1984. Ghostbusters became the top-grossing comedy of all time when it was released in 1984. It was meant as an homage to the comedy ghost movies of the 1940s and 50s, such as Bob Hope's The Ghost Breakers and the Bowery's Boys' Ghost Chasers. Dan Aykroyd originally conceived of the idea for a much scarier and more expensive film with comedy partner John Belushi as a pair of futuristic time-traveling ghost hunters, but Harold Ramis rewrote the script after Belushi's death. It still had a budget that worried studio executives due to the expensive special effects. Director Ivan Reitman previously made Animal House with John Belushi and Stripes with Bill Murray, both also written by Harold Ramis. Bill Murray was considered crucial to the cast, so the executive producer funded Murray's personal dramatic project, The Razor's Edge, to ensure his involvement. Virtually every A-list comedian of the early 80s was considered before they settled on the final 4 team members, including Chevy Chase, Robin Williams, Richard Pryor, John Candy, and Eddie Murphy. The original cast members all made guest appearances in the 2016 all-female reboot film. Ghostbusters has lots of hilarious quotable moments, some of which are improvised by the actors. This is definitely a film that you should not miss. Number 2, Beetlejuice, starring Michael Keaton, Catherine O'Hara, Winona Ryder, Gina Davis, Alec Baldwin, and Jeffrey Jones. This one was directed by Tim Burton and released in 1988. Beetlejuice was director Tim Burton's second film following Pee-wee's Big Adventure and featured a brilliant cast of then little-known actors who went on to much greater acclaim. It has become a cult classic for its original ideas and zany comedy performances by Michael Keaton. Danny Elfman, the frontman and main songwriter for 1980s new wave band Oingo Boingo, scored the music for the movie and went on to collaborate with director Tim Burton on a total of 20 films, as well as many more Hollywood projects ranging from Spider-Man to Good Will Hunting. The soundtrack for Beetlejuice famously features classic 1950s Caribbean songs by Harry Belafonte, including Deo and Jumpin' the Line.
Just because you need to relax. Ha! I'm here with you. I will live with you in this hellhole, but I must express myself. If you don't let me gut out this house and make it my own, I will go insane and I will take you with me!
Yeah, well, maybe the house could use a little remodeling.
A sequel, Beetlejuice, in which Michael Keaton, Catherine O'Hara, and Winona Ryder reprise their roles, is set to release later this year. I can't wait to see it. And number 1, Young Frankenstein, starring Gene Wilder, Peter Boyle, Marty Feldman, Cloris Leachman, Terry Garr, Madeline Kahn, and Kenneth Mars, directed by Mel Brooks, released in 1974. This homage to the Universal Frankenstein films of the 1930s was the third collaboration by Mel Brooks and Gene Wilder. Previously, they had co-written and both starred in The Producers and Blazing Saddles. Much of the humor in the film must be attributed to Gene Wilder's writing as well as his performance.
Or we proceed. I have one question, Dr. Frankenstein.
That's Frankenstein.
I beg your pardon?
My name. It's pronounced Frankenstein.
But aren't you the grandson of the famous Dr. Victor Frankenstein, who went into graveyards, dug up freshly buried corpses, and transformed dead components into...
Yes.
Young Frankenstein pays homage to not only the 1931 Frankenstein and the 1935 Bride of Frankenstein, but especially to Son of Frankenstein, which came out in 1939, and also features a plot with an heir to the mad scientist returning to the ancestral castle and taking up his predecessor's experiments. This movie is hilarious on its own, but even funnier if you have seen these old classic Universal horror movies. I suggest that you do before you see this one.
I am Frau Brucher.
Whole scenes are recreated for comedy, notably the game of darts and the encounter with the blind hermit. We watch this film every single year for Halloween. It is that good. All right, I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope you have a very happy Halloween. Next week, I'd like for you to join me on a fall camping trip.